Welcome to Celtic Park as the home side look to respond to some rare early season adversity against a team who could desperately do with some positivity to spark their season into life. Victory for Celtic would take them back to the Premiership summit ahead of next Sunday's Old Firm showdown. St Johnstone need points on the board, but this is not a venue or an opposition that tend to provide Saints with much joy in that regard. No wins in their last 14 visits since Danny Swanson's goal earned a 1-0 victory in March 2015 under Tommy Wright. The teams are out on the grass at Celtic Park, the lush pitch here in perfect condition. Celtic go into the huddle and St Johnstone get themselves prepared for what will be a huge test. 8 of the starting 11 for St Johnstone have never played here before. 3 of them are debutants for Saints. Stephen McLean, as you heard pre-match, describing this very much as a work in progress. And although Celtic might not yet be firing on all cylinders, it's still an ominous task for the visitors this afternoon. It will be Celtic to kick us off, going from left to right, as we look at it from the centre of the main stand here, in their traditional green and white hoops, as you would expect, white shorts, white socks. Saints in a pretty retro looking, mainly blue kit with a white pinstripe, going back to a sort of 80s look, Packy, when you were in your pomp. Yeah. What you expected from this one today?
It's a long time ago. No, listen, I expect Celtic to dominate possession and try to maybe play with a little bit more urgency than they did last week. If they're on a grass pitch, they're on their own pitch. It's a big open pitch, and there'll be plenty of opportunity to slide little balls into areas where I thought they struggled last week. They played too much in their own half, and they weren't able to get the ball into the areas that would hurt the opposition. So I expect that from Celtic today, from St Johnstone's perspective, they're playing with their back four. They're playing with, I think, probably at this stage, maybe a 4 cross and with a 2 up front. That's how it's looking at the moment. So it's a 4-4-2 system, but it will be pinned back in areas where they have to concentrate and defend well.
Daniel Phillips getting a good challenge in, and Jay Turner-Cook, who, as Packy says, is playing in a more advanced role than I'd suspected. He's almost right up alongside Luke Jeffcott. He brings St Johnstone forward as they look to try and make an impact early in this game. On the halfway line then, Andrew Considine, one of the few experienced players, if you like, in the visitors lineup, and one with experience of playing at Celtic Park, as young Luke Robinson, the left back, runs the ball out of play. He's on loan from Wigan. Back goes Considine, who didn't have the happiest of seasons, it has to be said, against Celtic last time out. A red card and a couple of own goals for St Johnstone against Celtic last season, and he'll be looking to try and make a more positive impact. It's a Celtic throw-in about in line with the 18-yard box, taken by the returning Alistair Johnson. He picks up once more, drives into the penalty area, almost up to the 6-yard box. A good challenge in the end from the aforementioned Considine to knock it behind for Celtic's first corner 2 minutes in.
Yeah, he got a little break and got himself in behind the defensive player, but it was on his left foot and he didn't have the confidence to strike it, and he was trying to take it back onto his right.
O'Reilly's corner, in swinger, away at the near post, as Celtic look to try and make an early breakthrough. It's O'Reilly with a little step over, and he's won his side. Another corner, almost 3 minutes played at Celtic Park, and it is the home side on the front foot, as you'd expect, looking to try and get the crowd, a big crowd again, inside Celtic Park, as goalkeeper Dimitar Mitov thought about coming. In the end, he decided not to, and it was headed away by a St Johnstone defender 3 minutes in, and it's David Turnbull picking up on the halfway line as St Johnstone managed to clear their lines early on, and Celtic dictating the play out on the left-hand side. It's Taylor. Down the flank he goes for Yang. I think that had just gone out of play. It was a neat turn from Yang, who did look lively when he came on at Rugby Park last week, and he's got his chance from the start for the first time in a Celtic jersey. Packy on the left wing for Celtic.
Yeah, and he will start wide, and Greg Taylor, every time he gets the ball, he should feed him quickly and early to see if he can get into that 1v1 situation with the fullback and test the fullback early on in this game especially.
Back there goes Gustav Lagerbielke, as I mentioned earlier, playing his first game at Celtic Park, having made his debut against Killie last weekend. St Johnstone trying to come forward. There was a low head there from Daniel Phillips, and he managed to catch Turnbull, I think it was, on the shoulder.
Yeah,
it will be a free kick.
He looks a strong player in the middle of the pitch. He's small, he's compact, and when he's gone for that, I think the ball was higher than when he was going for, and he just caught Turnbull and almost spun him over, and I think it was the right decision to give the free kick. But he's an important role, Daniel Phillips, for St Johnstone in that middle of the pitch. He is the captain, he's young, but he has to dictate and communicate with the rest of the players around about him.
Here's O'Reilly after a good ball forward from Lagerbielke. Maida playing on the right hand side this afternoon. Ball back the way for Johnstone. He leaves it for Lagerbielke. It's back in the halfway line with Celtic in possession. It's Liam Scales, as I mentioned before, hasn't played for Celtic since February of last year, having been out on loan to Aberdeen. He did feature in Ange Postecoglou's first season, not necessarily regularly, but he was very much in the first team squad. Farmed out on loan to Aberdeen last season, and as you were saying, Packy, probably would have had in the back of his mind that he might not play for Celtic again, but here he is in the first team.
Especially when you have the number of players in that position. Obviously the injuries has allowed him to get in, but he is left-footed, and he will balance the back four, and as an Irishman, I'm delighted to see him in getting an opportunity, and it could be somebody, if he could establish himself, that would force his way into the international team.
Here's Yang, left-hand side, turns back onto his right foot, almost at the goal line, touches it back for Turnbull, edge of the box, spins one way then the other, trying to get room for the shot, but just in the end, crowded out as St Johnstone managed to work it clear from the edge of their own box, and it's good play, good composure from St Johnstone, who could have been forgiven for just hacking that upfield, but they played it down the left, and now it's Carey on the counter-attack up towards the Celtic penalty area. Can he pick out a teammate? No, it's Matt O'Reilly there intercepting as he was trying to pick out the run there of Turner Cook. It was a good moment for St Johnstone, and Carey might have been expected to find a better ball.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good play from St Johnstone. Nice little passes, good composure on the ball, and then setting Carey down the left-hand side. And he had loads and loads of room to make up, and probably had too much room. Didn't really know what to do, and his decision-making on that occasion was probably wrong. I would have whipped it into the box, and that he tried to pick somebody out on the edge, and it was easily intercepted by Matt O'Reilly.
St Johnstone get a throw in. It should have been a Celtic throw. It came back off Luke Robinson as Johnstone knocked it away, but the referee and the assistant both missed it, so it's a Saints throw in, and it's going to be another one deep in Celtic territory, almost down at the corner flag on the left hand side. It's Luke Robinson, the left fullback, 21 years old, coming in for his debut this afternoon, and quite an arena in which to do so. He gets it back there from Carey, and it's back with Carey once more, but Robinson was offside when the ball went back to him, and so Carey's ball into the middle is irrelevant, and it's going to be a Celtic free kick. We've played 7 minutes at Celtic Park, no goals yet, but Saints just creeping their way into the game, Packy.
Yeah, and it was a pity again, because it was a good position. They've got themselves high up on the left hand side to work the throw in, and they shouldn't have been offside there, because that was a really good, and the ball in from Carey that we talked about, he didn't do in the first situation as we described it. The second, he put a great ball in that occasion into the back post, but unfortunately Robertson offside.
Here's Alistair Johnstone at the other end, right hand side for Celtic, the Canadian. First game of the season. That's a good ball from Turnbull. O'Reilly across the 6-yard box is cleared away. Fortunately for St Johnstone, Sam McClellan was on hand to knock that away before Kyogo could pounce. A dangerous ball in from O'Reilly. Here he is once more on the goal line, right hand side. Lovely little flick back into the path of Johnstone. Edge of the box is Turnbull. Turnbull plays it for Kyogo. Tries to lift it back into the path of Turnbull. St Johnstone eventually managed to get that clear, but it was uncertainty inside their own penalty area, and then Carey takes a chance just outside his own penalty area, but it's fouled in the process. St Johnstone will have a free kick, but Celtic looking dangerous there for a moment.
Yeah, Matarelli again playing very high today. We talked about him sitting alongside McGregor, but when they have good possession, Celtic, he pushes right up, and he's getting into really good positions in this sort of almost inside right position. That occasion he got into a great position. He almost could have had a shot himself, but he elected to play it across the 6-yard box. No takers. It's interesting what Kyogo also, because we've seen him so many times get across the front, and last year anyway, and across defenders. Maybe because he's been asked to drop off a little bit, that maybe the distance isn't quite the same this year, and he's almost hanging on the periphery rather than where you would like him to be across the front of defenders.
Matt Smith trying a forward ball for St Johnstone. He was looking for Costello there on the right flank, but he just overhit it. Celtic goal kick was quickly taken, as is their wont, and outside Taylor is Yang on the left hand side. Ball played into the penalty area. Livingston have gone one up at Easter Roads, and as the pressure builds on Lee Johnson after that drubbing by Aston Villa in the week. He would have hoped for a better start than that 10 minutes in, and Livy have the first goal in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premiership, with Rangers having beaten Ross County by 2-0 earlier on at Dingwall, and momentarily at least moved to top position in the league. 10 minutes in here at Celtic Park, no goals. It's a St Johnstone goal kick to be taken by the Bulgarian Dimitar Mitov, signed from Cambridge United in the summer, and the reports I've read in the early part of the season are that he has been a good acquisition. I'm sure Paki will be interested to see how he fares.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, but I will take an interest, of course. I take an interest in mostly all goalkeepers, but I will look at him and see what qualities he has. He'll be tested today at times.
Smith has stayed down under the challenge, but Celtic allowed to continue. Stephen McLean with the arms out wide, asking why that wasn't given as a free kick. Smith picks himself back up and tries to race back in to help St Johnstone out, but Johnstone manages to get the ball in. Kyogo just wide. Not far away from Kyogo. He just comes to life, as Paki says. The ball's flashed across the box, and there he is, pouncing. And you imagined the net was going to bulge, but it flew inches wide of the left-hand post of Dimitar Mitov, and it remains Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Better play from Celtic, quicker, penetrative, playing 1, 2, 3 passes. Johnson on the overlap plays a great ball in, and Kyogo coming almost from that little bit deeper position and volleys it and connects really, really well, just off target, but really good play from Celtic in this occasion.
Sounds like it was Scott Pittman who got the Livingston goal at Easter Roads. Yeah, he just imagined that as soon as you saw Kyogo connecting with that it was going to end up in the back of the net.
He had to take it early, though.
Usually does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it was high, it was high, and he's volleyed it, and he just had to take it early, just didn't quite get the accuracy.
Mitov clears left-footed. O'Reilly returns it. Smith heads it forward, and then Jeffcott is dragged to the ground there by Johnson. It'll be a St Johnstone free kick. 12 minutes in here, just inside the Celtic half, left-hand side. And despite the fact that it's very much a new look side for Stephen McLean, they look pretty well organised.
Yeah, it's quite brave, in fact, that they've almost pushed too high up the pitch, and yeah, they've got the 2 defensive midfield players, but the young lad that's come in, Jay Turner-Cook, is kind of almost playing as a second striker. He will drop off at times in top of McGregor and try to stop him influencing the game, but there's a lot of space in that midfield that Celtic could exploit. So brave setup, I would think, from St Johnstone, but it's working at the moment for them.
Yeah, pretty much is a striking partnership at the moment, as you say, Paki. Both of those players, Jay Turner-Cook and Luke Jeffcott, lurking around the halfway line just at the moment as Celtic try to build from the back. Under pressure there from Phillips with Scales. He got the pass off, but he was fouled, but the play continues because Celtic are building down the left-hand side. Phillips perhaps fortunate that one was allowed to go. Here's Taylor, left-hand side, back to McGregor, midway inside the St Johnstone half. Now up to the edge of the box to Taylor. Turnbull out to the left for Yang. Yang looking to find Taylor. Now McGregor, edge of the penalty area. Can he get the shot away? It's blocked there by Smith. Out to the left-hand side it goes. Costello trying to win possession back, but he's fouled. McGregor. Will be a Celtic free kick almost down at the corner flag on the left-hand side, and a chance to get this one into the penalty area. Yeah,
using his hands again. It was a silly foul to give away because they had sort of almost controlled the defensive situation. Celtic taking their time, making little passes. Great block from Smith initially from the shot from McGregor, and that forced the ball wide. But to give away a needless foul, and that puts pressure on the back defenders now to have to come up with a good clearance when this ball's played in.
Turnbull then from the left-hand side. Matthew McDermott, the referee, just having a word with the defenders and attackers as they grapple inside the penalty. It's a good ball in. It came off the head of a St Johnstone player, and it will be behind for a corner kick. Dangerous ball in, but St Johnstone deal with it initially, but they've got more defending to do here as Turnbull will try again, this time from the corner kick. Plenty of bodies in green and white in and around the penalty area as it's swung back in. It's away by Robinson this time. Out of the penalty area it goes, picked up by McGregor, and back with Johnstone, who finds McGregor again just about 15 yards inside St Johnstone's half. Forward by Turnbull to Taylor. Taylor low ball in, dealt with at the near post by Smith, headed further away by Olufunwa, and back with Turnbull on the left hand side. Yang for Turnbull once more, midway inside the Saints half. Just got to stand firm for the moment, St Johnstone, if they're to prevent Celtic from getting the opening goal in the quarter of hour mark. Still goalless. Out to Yang once more. He's seen plenty of the ball early on, up against Olufunwa, tries to take him on into the penalty area. He goes, chops back onto the right. Turnbull now gets the shot away, it's deflected behind. Good block in there. St Johnstone putting bodies on the line as Celtic turn the pressure up.
Yeah, they're forcing them back now onto the edge of their own box. Yang this time down the left hand side, showing nice turn of pace, getting the ball, and he picked out, I think it was Turnbull, and Turnbull had to take a touch. If he could hit that first time, I think the space would have been there for him to get a shot away.
Turnbull clips it in, shot from O'Reilly up in the air from Mitov, and does really well to get back up and push it over the crossbar as it threatened to drop into the net. Brilliant save from Mitov to deny O'Reilly. Lovely ball in from Turnbull in the corner, lovely disguise on it to the near post. O'Reilly met it sweetly, but Mitov reacted superbly. Here's Turnbull once more. Again, it's an in-swinger. Flicked on by Lagerbielke. Can St Johnstone get it clear? It falls to Carey. Just tries to clip it out to the left-hand side. Robinson thumps it up towards the halfway line. But let's go back to the save and the effort from O'Reilly. The save by Mitov, not once but twice.
Yeah, and the corner was hit low. It was well worked. They exploited that space almost in the, round a bit of penalty spot, but at the front post area. And O'Reilly coming off the edge of the box hits it first time, and with true bodies, and that's why the save was almost a good save. It was kind of almost straight at him, but he didn't see it to the last minute. But then to react and knock it over the crossbar again when the ball was dropping into the goal, very, very good from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, impressive stuff from the Bulgarian to keep the scoreline goalless as Kyogo tries to flick it on for O'Reilly. Just too heavy with the pass to Japanese, and Mitov just lets that drift behind for the goal kick. But already we can see that whoever was the St Johnstone staff member who scouted Dimitar Mitov looks to have done a good job. He's kept Celtic out a couple of times in the early stages here. He waves his defenders forward, won't be taking this one short, and instead they trot up to the halfway line as Mitov comes up right-footed and launches it over the halfway line. 17 played, no goals at Celtic Park. Hibs trailing by a goal to nil against Livingston, 0-0 at Motherwell against Kelly. Try and keep you up to date with as many of the goals in the Premiership certainly that go in as possible. You'll get a comprehensive round-up at half-time with Kenny McIntyre. Here's Scales on the halfway line for Celtic. Plays a short ball forward for Kyogo with his back to goal, midway inside the St Johnstone half. Just sells Johnston a little bit short there, but Johnston manages to win it, gets it back from McGregor. Then he finds O'Reilly at the edge of the box. Maida up against Robinson. The Celtic fans thought Maida was dragged to the ground right on the edge of the box. Referee just has a little shake of the head as the throw-in is quickly taken by Johnston. He gets it back from O'Reilly. Johnston now right-hand side to the angle of the box. On the right-hand side it's Turnbull. O'Reilly's onside, plays it across the 6-yard box. Very inviting Kyogo just didn't gamble, and it's a way out for a throw in on the far side. 18 in, Celtic nil, St Johnstone nil.
Yeah, I've already said it about Kyogo. You know, there's a change there slightly in the fact that, you know, the instant before that, when he dropped off almost into a midfield position to get on the ball, and there was another time when he kind of dropped off and O'Reilly ran forward. He played the first time, but the most important thing for him is getting into that goal scoring position, and on a couple of occasions now he's coming from deeper. Maybe it's the distance that he has to travel. Last year he would have been across that first defender at that near post, and that would have been a tap-in for him on occasions. We remembered against Rangers and that. So that's the slight difference. But if he doesn't go, somebody else should be going.
Yeah, it's a good point, Packy. Certainly it's something that's been noticeable early on in this game. Kilmarnock have got a goal up away to Motherwell. Brilliant start to the season for Derek McInnes' side, not least that League Cup victory over Celtic last weekend. Here's Maida for Celtic as they look to improve upon that. He just manages to poke it to O'Reilly, edge of the box. He tries to squeeze it through for Johnstone, well read by Carey, away by Smith, up towards Jeffcup. He's just out-muscled there by Lagerbielke, and then Phillips blocks the forward pass with his arm from Turnbull, and it'll be a Celtic free kick. Almost 20 minutes on the clock at Celtic Park. No goals, but certainly Celtic looking the more threatening side in the early stages. It's a free kick midway inside St Johnstone's half, slightly right of centre, probably a little bit far out for a shot at goal, but O'Reilly and Turnbull standing over it.
Yeah, too far out, sorry Al, too far out for that shot, direct shot, so it will be played in to round a bit of... There it goes, it's a bad ball.
Yeah, it's not a great pass from O'Reilly for Kyogo, and it's all the way through to Mitov, who berates his defenders for something, but he manages to get hold of the ball pretty comfortably, all in red, the Bulgarian, and looking to try and keep Celtic at bay as he launches it over the halfway line from hand. McGregor wins the header. Kyogo was in an offside position but didn't challenge for it, and it's breaks for Robinson, quickly closed down by the ever-willing Maida, and it'll be out for a throw-in to St Johnstone, just down in front of us, midway inside their own half, to be taken by the young fullback.
Yeah, St Johnstone have defended well enough so far, but they haven't really progressed up the pitch too much in this game so far. That might come, but the longer the game goes on, with them pinned back round their edge of 18, you just think that Celtic will create the openings.
Throw in to Celtic then, taken by Johnstone, back to Lagerbielke, who has Liam Scales alongside him. That's where the ball goes, just outside the centre circle in Celtic's half.
Yeah, and if I described it the way that Kilmarnock have set up, they've almost, their back four, St Johnstone should I say, sorry, apologies, and they're almost, you know, another bank of four in front of them, and then the two pushed up, but the two pushed up isn't really putting any pressure on the centre halves. They're just trying to keep the distances right.
Poor touch there from Callum McGregor. We don't see that very often, and it gives St Johnstone the ball back. Phillips just turns it back to Considine on the edge of his own area, and out to McClelland, and now Olafunwa down the right hand side for Costello, still trying to get to grips with all these new boys in St Johnstone colours. I'll do my best to accurately identify them as the match progresses. It's a bit of a mix-up there between Scales and Lagerbielke, but fortunately for Scales, he gets the break of the ball and is able to clear his lines. Breaks the way of McGregor, finds a forward ball for Turnbull, just tries to poke it through for Kyogo, but it was too much on it, and it's all the way through to St Johnstone's Bulgarian goalkeeper. We've played almost a quarter of the game now, and it's still Celtic nil, St Johnstone nil. Yeah, that relationship obviously with the two centre halves, two of them going for the one ball. In fact, Lagerbielke should be dropping off, covering Scales, instead he's going to try the... That's just because he hasn't really been in the game that much, and it's been almost Scales has been the one that's almost on the ball too much. So, but he just got to relax, keep his composure. Lagerbielke playing it square for Scales. The Livingston goal, incidentally, was an Obita own goal rather than the Pittman goal, as I earlier gave it. As Kyogo teases it into the penalty area, looking for his countryman Maida, but it's headed away well by Robinson. And St Johnstone again hold firm as Stephen McLean and Liam Craig, who's on his coaching staff, have a a quick chat about something out there. Brendan Rodgers also right at the edge of the pitch, and he's trying to get instructions on. He won't be perturbed necessarily by what he's seen so far, but I'm sure he would have liked his side to have been in front by now, as would most of those inside Celtic Park. Scales bringing it forward for Taylor, left hand side, out to Yang, who looked lively in the early stages. Celtic would do well to feed him as often as possible. His pass forward though is cut out, and Phillips feeds it away. Scales makes a mistake, and it allows Olafunwa to come forward right hand side. A good bit of trickery there from Jay Turner-Cook in the middle of the park, and he's fouled, and St Johnstone have the free kick just inside their own half. And yeah, some of these new players for St Johnstone look the part.
Yeah, they look as if they know what they're about at the moment. It's going to take time for them, obviously, to blend into a collective unit also, and the more that Stephen's got the opportunity to work with them on the training pitch, and that it's all about them reacting positively, and you know, when you bring new players in, if you can get a result or so, then the confidence grows.
Now there's a head knock here to Graham Carey in a clash with Alistair Johnstone there, and Matthew McDermott has brought the game to a halt. Clash of heads, I think it was, and Carey certainly come off worst. He immediately hit the deck.
Yeah, it's one of them where he was up really high, and then Johnson jumps and almost heads him, maybe hits his chin in that, and he gets a throw in, but he's up on his feet, so he'll be okay. But the referee has given a foul. I'm not sure if it's a foul that he uses. I think it was more heads coming together.
It will be a free kick to St Johnstone, then Carey is able to get up and will take this. I think there was a couple of St Johnstone staff gesticulating as if there was an elbow used by Alistair Johnstone. We of course have VAR in operation, and play is going to be allowed to continue, so nothing untowards. A good ball in, and it's swept towards goal and behind for a goal kick. It wasn't a bad effort at all when it came in there. It was Johnstone. It was Jeffcott who got on the end of it, but he was just a couple of yards wide of Joe Hart's goal.
Yeah, it was a really good ball in from Graham Carey, put in round Callum McGregor, who was the front, the front first player in the defensive setup from Celtic, and whipped round him in between Joe Hart and the defence, and Jeffcott getting across, just hits it first time, hoping more than anything else that it would go on target, but it was off target.
Yeah, not too far wide, but Joe Hart's comfortable enough there. But the first real threat on his goal from the Carey free kick, and Jeffcott still looking for a first goal in St Johnstone colours on what is now his 6th appearance, having signed in the summer from Plymouth, who, if memory serves correctly, is one of Stephen McLean's many former clubs as a player. Looking to use all of his contacts as he builds a squad. Celtic have picked up possession in a dangerous area. It's Turnbull driving at the St Johnstone box, out to the left. O'Reilly, a good save again from Mitov. It was straight at him, but he had to keep it out. O'Reilly, you felt sure, was going to sweep that into the back of the net, but Mitov stuck the legs out and managed to repel it, and it remains after 26.5 minutes. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Best chance of the game, no doubt about that. Counter-attack play from Celtic. They won the ball in just over the halfway line, and driving forward was Turnbull, played in McGregor, who cut it back, and there was O'Reilly arriving in round again about the penalty spot, hits it first time, this time low, and the goalkeeper gets his foot to the ball, gets down really quickly with that sort of leg to keep it out. Good save from the goalkeeper, but good play from Celtic, and the best chance so far in this game. Celtic have now created 2 or 3, and the goalkeeper has come up.
Yeah, you would normally expect your goalkeeper to have a good game at Celtic Park if you're going to come away with anything, and so far at least Dimitar Mitov is doing everything he can to keep Celtic out. That's a couple of good saves so far. Here's Yang on the edge of the penalty area for Turnbull. Just a little flick between the legs for O'Reilly. Back with Yang. Yang goes for goal, but he lashes it over the top, and it'll be a St Johnstone goal kick. 28 almost on the clock. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Oh, that's another really, really good chance. He gets in behind with a little bit of kind of technical play between O'Reilly and Turnbull, but as soon as he's in there, he sees sight of goal. It was quite an acute angle on the left hand side, I've got to say, but he lashes at it and lashes it high over the crossbar. Celtic are starting to create some chances.
Yeah, they are, but haven't taken any as yet. As Mitov knocks the goal kick long, Lagerbielke gets his head to it, but it goes back towards his own goal. Celtic trying to pick up once more. It's not forward by Smith though, and Lagerbielke just knocks it back to Joe Hart, who's had little to do in the opening almost half an hour, and he plays it out to Liam Scales, who I felt had a good second half of the season up at Aberdeen when they began to tighten up defensively.
Well, he's certainly getting on plenty of the ball down that left-hand side. He just needs to do the pass early, and this time the crowd was getting a little bit anxious there because he kind of delayed, and eventually had a square pass. Get it out to the fullback quickly or to the winger, and then you're almost dictating how the tempo of the game.
Stephen McLean getting his head to the ball as it was out of play. He almost whacked his head off the top of the dugout. I was a bit concerned for him for a second, but managed to avoid it. Luke Robinson knocks the ball behind to stop O'Reilly in his tracks, but does give Celtic another corner as we approach the half-hour mark. Still 0-0. O'Reilly from the right-hand side about to swing this one in left-footed to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away by Olafunwa. Comes to Turnbull, who we know can hit them from distance, and he tried to do that, but it was always rising, always off target, and it's behind for a goal kick. As we do tick towards half an hour, it's Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, St Johnstone will be happy that they're still in this game. You know, when you look back at a couple of the chances, you know, Mitov has made a couple of really good saves from O'Reilly. Yang's shot we just seen going over the crossbar from a good position. Kyogo's volley, they're all good chances for Celtic, but they haven't been able to score. So at this point, St Johnstone are still in this game, and that's the job that they were set out to do. Be structured, be organised, don't give anything away early, and you might get the big chance.
Graham Carey doing well to keep possession momentarily there for St Johnstone, but couldn't find a teammate, and so Celtic have it back, dominating possession as they almost always do, especially here at Celtic Park, where we'll have some Champions League nights to look forward to, but Celtic looking to take care of league business this afternoon. St Johnstone again clearing their lines from inside their own penalty area. It's good hold-up play there from Turner Cook, but he's eventually lost out to Yang. Yang now for Turnbull, left-hand side, dinks it in towards the back post, but it's a poor attempted cross from Turnbull, and just some murmurings of dissatisfaction around the Celtic Park stands with the scoreline still goalless.
Dissatisfaction because he was in a great position to whip that in with his left foot. He checked back onto his right and tried to hit the back post, and there was nobody. But Maeda has made a great run from this right-hand side right across in that near post, which we want him to do from a Celtics perspective, because that's what was missing early on, and he was in there, but the ball never came this time.
Mitov with the goal kick again then, over the halfway line he goes, won by Lagerbielke, commanding header, knocked forward by Considine out to the right hand side as St Johnstone attack towards Costello, who hasn't really been involved in these opening stages, the 20-year-old brought in.
Yeah, St Johnstone struggling a little bit to get any real possession and work their way up the pitch. Normally when they do get possession, they sort of go straight back to Celtic, and it pins them back again well into their own half.
Here's Yang from the left-hand side, cutting infield away from Phillips. Still he has it, little flick for Taylor. Taylor sliding in though. Goes Smith to Rob O'Reilly, but it's back in Celtic's possession, and it's Maeda uses Johnson as a decoy, comes in on the left foot, but my goodness, that is a woeful effort from Dyson Maeda. I'm not sure what he was thinking there. It's so far off target from a player of such quality, and it's a goal kick to St Johnstone. 32 in, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, I know what he was thinking. He was hoping to get a good connection on the ball and he could curl it into that back post, but he didn't. It was like one of my golf shots when I'm off for him. Well wide, almost out nearly out to the corner flag, but it was a good run from Johnson initially, taking 2 or 3 players away and creating the space for him to cut in.
Jeffcott doing his best to try and keep possession for St Johnstone, but they are giving it up rather easily just at the moment. That'll be a concern for Stephen McLean as well as they're defending, that they're just inviting pressure upon themselves, giving Celtic the ball back rather readily. Here's Lagerbielke on the halfway line, plays it square for Scales. Scales steps forward looking for an option, one of whom is Kyogo. He just tries the little layoff, doesn't come off though, and St Johnstone get it back to Mitov, who clears his lines, headed down by Scales, but it's not forward. Lagerbielke trying to hold up Jeffcott, does well, just turns it back to Joe Hart, who immediately plays it out to Scales. 12 minutes of the first period left, still no goals. Here's Taylor, left hand side, it's Yang attacking Olafunwa once more up to the edge of the penalty area. Into the right foot he comes, lays it off for O'Reilly. Now Taylor, about 25 yards from goal. Kyogo in a pocket of space, just can't quite find the room for the shot. Does get it to Maida, but he loses out. Johnstone picks back up for Celtic. Turnbull then loses it. St Johnstone again poke it away, but they can't keep it, and it's back with Celtic once more, turning over possession when they do get it, St Johnstone. And you have to imagine that Celtic at some stage will make them pay for that as Scales picks up.
Yeah, I think so, Al, because you know they're not doing a lot wrong. Celtic, they're moving the ball quite quickly. They've got lots of possession. They've made chances already, and I think as St Johnstone get a little bit more tired. Here's Lagerbielke.
Yeah, he finds O'Reilly at the edge of the penalty, out to Johnson, right hand side, low ball into Maida. Maida has been held there. Matthew McDermott had a look at it. The crowd certainly had a look at it. Didn't feel there was enough in it to award the penalty, and it's knocked out of play, and the throw-in is quickly taken. 10 minutes to play in this first half. No goals.
Sorry, Al, this is an important time now for St Johnstone. You know, 10 minutes before that period leading into half-time, when they know that they're getting a little bit tired, but their concentration levels go, and to get into half-time 0-0 would be a huge benefit for them.
Johnstone out to Maida, right hand side for Celtic, up against Robinson on the Celtic right. Robinson does well, manages to get it to Carey, almost down at his near corner flag though. Back to Robinson it goes, and he just hooks it out of play. It'll be a Celtic throw in right hand side, quickly taken by O'Reilly. They're certainly trying to keep up the tempo, haven't been able to find a way through a well organised and well drilled St Johnstone rear guards, backed up by keeper in good form so far. Taylor has it, back to Scales. Every Celtic player barring Joe Hart inside the St Johnstone half. Scales stepping forward, finds Kyogo, edge of the box, pokes it through again, looking for Turnbull, but it took a nick off a St Johnstone player on its way through. Back to Mitov it goes. 35 on the clock. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, and who deals with Kyogo when he steps off the centre back? Is it the centre back that goes with him, or is it the midfielder? He just found a little bit of pocket of space there, which he's kind of almost trying to do, and then trying to feed the runners as they go by him.
Launched by Mitov in the direction of Costello. Again, St Johnstone can't keep it. Played down the right hand side by McClelland, out of play by Taylor. St Johnstone throw over on the far side. Lost their first two in the league, 2-0 at home to Hearts and then 2-0 away to Ross County, but they look like they've been working hard in the last couple of weeks, having not played last weekend because of their elimination from the League Cup, and chance for Stephen McLean to try and instill what he wants to do on the training ground and bring onto the field. And they've not done a whole lot of attacking in this game, but certainly their shape has looked good behind the ball as Celtic pick up once more, and it's Lagerbielke bringing it out from the back, the Swedish defender.
I'd like to see him drive forward a little bit more too at times, the same way as Liam Scales is doing the left hand side. This is him going now, because he looks like a decent passer of the ball.
Maida helps it on to Johnstone, almost at the goal line, checks back. Is he caught there by Carey? Our assistant had a good look at it, and it's going to be St Johnstone throwing, a handball. I think you're right, Packy. In the end, it looked like Johnstone maybe was just caught there by Carey as he checked back inside, but I think actually what happened was he lost his footing and handled it as he tried to get back up, and St Johnstone will have a bit more respite with the free kick almost on their own goal line. It's a good position that Celtic got themselves into, and just the final ball didn't quite happen.
Yeah, it was Alistair Johnston again. You know, he's done well since coming back. He doesn't look as if he's been out for any length of time. You know, he's bombing forward, getting into good positions, and that time he got to the byline, he just almost tried to one of those where he kids The defender goes to ground and he ends up checking back, but he just lost his footing. He could have played it maybe first time, could have been blocked. So
Celtic fans hoping for a goal before the interval. 7 minutes of the first half left as Liam Scales runs into bother. It's out for a throw-in on the far side to Celtic, but 10 yards inside St Johnstone territory. It's quickly taken by Taylor. Scales just takes his eye off it, and ball bounces behind him, and he has to go back and retrieve and then play it to Lagerbielke. Back once more with Scales.
Yeah, that's when, you know, Scales has got the ball. He passes to Lagerbielke, and there's lots of space for him to just almost step forward, and then he can play Johnson, or he can play Maeda, or into Matt O'Reilly, and he elects to just play it back to Scales, and that just slows the whole game down a little bit.
Which suits St Johnstone, although it's now out with Taylor left hand side. He tries to bring a bit of urgency into the play, but his ball forward is blocked off by Costello, and the throw-in goes Celtic's way. It's taken back to Scales just inside St Johnstone half, tries to clip it over the top, but there's too much on that, and it's comfortable for Mitov, who'll be in no particular hurry to pick this up until Kyogo goes and closes him down. Then he picks it up and just threatens to bowl it out quickly, but then again ushers his central defenders forward and takes his time, and then he'll launch this again over the halfway line, just looking to get St Johnstone up the park where they haven't been all that often. Scales wins the long ball, in goes Smith, wins the header, breaks for McClellan just inside his own half, plays it forward to Costello, back with Smith, right hand side for St Johnstone. Now McClellan once more in his third appearance, having made his debut in the opening day against Hearts. Robinson is running to bother as Kyogo and Maeda link up, back with O'Reilly now. Celtic looking to try and punish St Johnstone, but they managed to get men back behind the ball. McGregor finds Taylor forward for O'Reilly out to the left hand side now with Yang almost at the corner flag. One way then the other, tries to get past Olafunwa, can't do so to any great effect, and McClellan steps in, knocks it out of play over on the far side. 5 minutes to the break, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, the ball was switched out to Yang there, and I'm looking at Maeda and I'm looking at Kyogo. Both of them are almost hanging out on that penalty spot. One of them has got to go to that near post, because again the opportunity to cross that ball in there was on, but nobody had moved, you know, made that run, and Yang then just takes his time and situation's gone.
Yang accelerates away from Costello into the box, gets the ball across goal. Maeda stretches, can't bring it under control, and the chance is gone again as Carey and Robinson combine to just knock it downfield, and Jeffcott will try and hold it up. He's beaten to it by Lagerbielke. Untidy play, but Johnstone manages to bring things under control for Celtic and finds O'Reilly infield, middle of the park, out to Yang, angle of the box, and he play it quickly to Taylor. Inside's McClellan. Does he knock it off Taylor? No, it's straight out for a Celtic corner, and Celtic fans try and get behind their side as they urge them on to find a way through before half time, but as it stands it's 0-0, 4 minutes left in the first period.
Yeah, again, you know, 4 minutes of pressure for St Johnstone, just to come up with good defensive actions here to keep Celtic out, because they don't want to lose anything.
Turnbull swings it in from the left hand side, right footed. Scales nods it down, away by Phillips as far as Johnstone, midway inside the St Johnstone half, clips it back out to the left hand side where Turnbull picks up, comes in towards the angle of the box, swings it in again, but it's a comfortable take for Dimitar Mitov inside his 6 yard box. Turnbull's ball in wasn't good enough. Robinson's boot has come off, or at least he takes it off inside his own 6 yard box, replaces it. 3 minutes left in the first half. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, and from Celtic's perspective, they have created chances, haven't been able to take them. The fans are getting a little bit sort of frustrated because that goal hasn't come. St Johnstone doing well. There's a wee chance for them. And
right hand side of the box is Jeffcott trying to play it into the
offside now.
Penalty area, but the flag does go up. Did look off, but the assistant delayed the flag as they're instructed to do. Eventually it goes up and Celtic will have the free kick. Jeffcott trying to delay the restart there.
I understand that rule, I understand it, but it's a frustrating rule. I've said it since day one, but I can understand because of VAR that they have to continue play. But when you're that far off, you know, I would be raising the flag.
Celtic have it, a couple of minutes left in the first half. Lagerbielke inside St Johnstone's half to Johnston. Right hand side is Maida, midway inside the St Johnstone half, comes in field. Robinson tracking him. Back the way he goes to Lagerbielke, who has to go square to Scales. Can Celtic find a breakthrough in this first half, or is it to be a stalemate all the way until the interval? Lagerbielke just touches it forward to Johnston, who does likewise, looking for Maida. Misplaces it though. Robinson steps in, and St Johnstone try and come forward. He can't keep it again though. There's a chance to come forward. Taylor steps away from the sliding challenge once, twice, out to Yang, left hand side, up against Olafunwa, gets to the byline, tries to get it across goal. Sliding challenge comes in. It will be a corner. There's a yellow card being shown there to, I think it's McClelland, for the second sliding challenge on Taylor, as Celtic win the corner. Yeah,
there was a couple of tackles that Greg Taylor avoided there, but the last one, he just got the ball away, but he was caught late, and that's why Sam McClelland was yellow.
And it comes headed away by Constantine, only as far as O'Reilly, 30 yards from goal, touches it back to Johnston, midway inside the St Johnstone half, looks to send it back in. Yang gets a glancing header on it, but takes it out towards the left hand side where Turnbull can keep it in. Back it goes to Taylor inside the final minute of the 45. The fourth official about to show us how much added on time there's going to be. Out it comes to Maida, right hand side of the penalty area, in on the left foot. Thought about the pass, eventually does pass to Callum McGregor, helps it on to Taylor. Taylor 25 yards from goal, still no room for the shot, plays the 1-2 with McGregor. Now he finds Turnbull about 30 yards out, central area, touches it back to Taylor. Taylor forward it goes. Robinson gets it half clear, only as far as Turnbull, who gets it to Johnston, and comes off a St Johnstone head. Andrew Considine get the header there, and then Mitov comes off his line, clutches that gratefully, goes down to the ground, and it's still goalless at Celtic Park as half-time approaches.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from Celtic, picking the ball up outside the box, keeping it alive at times, and then eventually it comes out to Alistair Johnston. Decent ball in, just a little bit too high. This time Kyogo and Maida do get across that front post, but Constantine just was able to, with his height, able to get a touch on it and take it away.
Into a couple of minutes of added on time at the end of this first half. Still no goals. Celtic finding it a frustrating afternoon thus far. As Blackie's been saying, they've created a few decent opportunities, some good goalkeeping and some doughty defending at times from St Johnstone to keep the scoreline blank as things stand. But here's Yang trying to do something about that. Left hand side, up against Olafunwa again. He manages to get away from him, touches it back for O'Reilly. Not the greatest first touch, it wasn't a brilliant pass to him in all fairness, as McGregor gets out to Johnston on the right hand side of the penalty area. Back in field for Turnbull, helps it on for Taylor. Taylor out to the right hand side once more to Johnston. A minute to play in this first half. In slides Smith, a committed challenge to get there before McGregor knocks it out of play for a Celtic throw, which is quickly taken by Johnston. Back to Lagerbielke, just inside his own half. Gets it back from McGregor, and now it's Johnston once more. Plays it down the right channel, looking for Maida, in though went Robinson to knock it out of play down near the corner flag. One final chance perhaps for Celtic to threaten the Saints' goal before half-time. Johnston will take this throw-in a few yards away from the corner flag. O'Reilly back to Johnston, right hand side, swings in the cross, it's a back post ball. Olafun was there before Yang, as far as Taylor. Taylor touches it to McGregor, edge of the box, can't keep it though, and then it's knocked off Phillips, I think, by Olafun. There'll be one final corner in this first half for Celtic, and St Johnstone hoping to keep the back door closed as they give away a cheap corner in the final few seconds of stoppage time. Turnbull to take, left hand side. Can Celtic find that elusive opening goal? It's Turnbull to swing it in near post. It's a header away by Carey. Kyogo left footed, misses his kick, headed away. McGregor will try and get onto it, but it's St Johnstone who pick up, and there is the half-time whistle, and it's goalless at Celtic Park for all Celtic's possession and forward play. They haven't been able to find a way past Dimitar Mitov, who pulled off a couple of terrific saves in that first half. Firstly to keep out a Matt O'Reilly volley, and then get back up to push the ball over the bar before it crept over the line. And then also it was another O'Reilly effort, actually, probably the best of the first half, just before the half-time whistle. Again, Mitov looked lively to keep it out. Kyogo fired the volley just wide early on, and the only St Johnstone attack of any meaningful note was a Jeffcott effort from a Carey free kick that was a couple of yards wide of Joe Hart's right hand post. But at half time at Celtic Park, it's the champion Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
But as I said, it's been slightly better as the first half is going on. But yeah, I mean, look, it's not a great situation for Hibs here. They've not really been able to test Shamal George too much, although there's an opportunity here. Johan's in behind, but again, you know, how often do you see it when he gets into a good position? Just that final ball is not there. Ball goes behind for a by kick for Livingston now. Hibs are claiming, I'm not particularly sure what it is they're claiming for. They're obviously wanting a penalty, but I'm not convinced that. Yep, it's not a great first half here at Easter Road for Hibs, especially off the back of the disappointment of Wednesday and also 2 league defeats of the campaign so far.
Yeah, Kenny Cropper, are you still there?
Yeah, a bit of added time here at Firhill. It's been an absolutely brilliant first half. I think the whistle's going to go any minute. Queen's Park have got a free kick. Dom Thomas is going to take it about 30 yards out. But absolutely phenomenal first half of football here. Really enjoyed it, Kenny, and I think we'll get more goals after the break.
Yeah, Kenny, you mentioned the yellow card. I've got a text in saying from someone saying at Firhill, apart from the ball out for a goal kick to Queen's Park, before it goes out of play, a Queen's Park sub warming up stops it with his foot.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain just before Brian Graham kind of popped up and scored a goal. He's a bit annoying like that.
So referee cautions the Queen's Park player and restarts with a direct free kick to Thistle, but it should have been a drop ball. Yeah, well, it was right over near the corner flag, so it wasn't particularly anywhere dangerous, but yeah, that was what happened.
Half time at East End Park, Dunfermline 0, Wraith Rovers 1.
Thanks,
Sam Stanton with the only goal of the game, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you to Paul Mitchell there. Just saw another goal going in. Queen of the South 0-2, up away at Cove Rangers. Regan Minmore with a goal in the 49th minute there. So just waiting on the half-time score.
That's half-time at Firhill now, Kenny. So it's Partick Thistle 2, Queen's Park 1, and I don't think that'll be the end of the goals.
Yeah, it's been a great game there so far, no doubt about that. So just your game playing there at Easter Road, Michael Stewart. Livy, good value for the 1-goal lead?
Yep, they are, very much so. It's approaching half-time now. Hibs are trying to make a 40 forward here. It's another chance. Joe Newell's out in the wide area. He's cutting back inside. It's all just a little bit slow. You know, Livingston are able to get loads of bodies back in and snuff out any danger. And it's pretty important that you know, Hibs, if they have got any ambitions in the second half of getting something for this game, they've got to do things quicker. They've got to be better quality, but they've got to do things quicker. It's been very, very slow and pedestrian in this first half from the home side.
Yeah, they really are struggling, Hibs, this season, no doubt about that. Again, just looking at the match stats in that game, they are dominating possession, 62%, 5 shots to Livy's 2 on target, but Livy could have been 2-0 up in that game. It was an own goal, it's down as an own goal. Certainly an Abita own goal in that match. In the 8th minute, we will hear from Hibs fans late in the programme. Remember, at 5:30 until 7 o'clock, it's a chance to hear from fans. So much to debate in Scottish football this afternoon. Interesting to hear what Celtic fans have got to say. A lot of them not happy at the start under Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers not happy with the strength of the squad. They've been severely hit by injury. Michael Stewart, I'm guessing that's half-time?
Half-time. Yep, half-time at Easter Road. It's 1-0 to the visitors.
Yeah, you can hear the boos in the background there in that game at Easter Road. So I'll do a full classified half-times for you, and we'll go around all the grounds and get the reports. Some big, big stories developing in Scottish football this afternoon. Stay with us right here on BBC Radio Scotland.
Chance! And it's a goal! What a goal!
All the action from all the biggest games.
Oh, it's the second goal!
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
So the classified half-time scores for you: Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0, Hibs 0, Livingston 1, Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 1, and the lunchtime kick-off it finished Ross County 0, Rangers 2. Into the Championship, Airdrie 2, Inverness Cally Thistle 0, Ayr United 0, Dundee United 0, Dunfermline 0, Wraith Rovers 1, Morton 0, Arbroath 1, Partick Thistle 2, Queen's Park 1. In League 1, Annan Athletic 1, Edinburgh City 2, Cove Rangers 0, Queen of the South 2, Hamilton Accies 1, Montrose 0, Stirling Albion 0, Kelty Hearts 0, 5:30 kick-off Alloa at home to Falkirk. In League 2, Elgin City 1, East Fife 0, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Peterhead 0, Spartans 0, Stenishmuir 0, Dumbarton 4, Stranraer 0, Clyde 0. And in England this afternoon, it finished at lunchtime. A fantastic win for Ange Postecoglou's Spurs side, winning 2-0 away at Bournemouth. Half-time, Arsenal 0, Fulham 1, Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, Wolves 0, Manchester United 1, Nottingham Forest 2. 5:30, Brighton are at home to West Ham United. Let's then get to our commentary game this afternoon. It's at Celtic Park. Celtic against St Johnstone. There for us, Pat Bonner and Alistair Lamond.
Yeah, 0-0, half-time, Kenny, for all Celtic's domination of the ball and their attacking play. They haven't been able to find a way through. A well-organised St Johnstone team and a good goalkeeper, you'd have to say, so far in Dimitar Mitov. Celtic, they have created a couple of really good chances. Kyogo flashed one just wide on the volley after 11 minutes. A good ball in from Alistair Johnson, and normally you would expect Kyogo to burst the net. On this occasion it flew just off target. 5 minutes later, Turnbull fed Matt O'Reilly from a corner kick, and the volley was a really good save from Mitov, and he got back up to push it over the bar as well, as it threatened to just fall back down and go over the line for the Celtic opening goal. It didn't come at the other end. Graham Carey won a free kick and then flighted it in himself, where Luke Jeffcott flashed an effort not too far wide, the only real threat on Joe Hart's goal in that first period. And then a minute after that, 27 minutes in, Turnbull again linking with McGregor, and then O'Reilly came rushing in. Again, it looked like he would hit the back of the net, but it was a good reaction save from Mitov to keep it out of the net. That was pretty much that in terms of clear-cut opportunities. St Johnstone, despite the fact that it's very much a new-look side, have defended well. They look well organised. They haven't really been able to get too far up the park at any great stage, Parky, but really the onus is on Celtic, of course, to come out and pick them apart.
Yeah, Celtic need that goal, don't they? You know, they did create the chances. There was a couple of good saves from the goalkeeper, and they weren't able to get a ball in the net, and that then settled almost St Johnstone into a defensive mode, and they've done well then leading into that half-time with Celtic loads and loads of possession in and around the box. It's a bit slow from Celtic. You know, the starting point is back with the two centre halves. It's a wee bit slow. It needs to be improved. It needs to be wrapped in a little bit quicker into people when they pick up good positions. And I've also got, you know, it's apparent to me that inside the box there needs to be a little bit more quickness and movement, especially across that front post when there was lots of good balls flashed in there, but they didn't get. But St Johnstone would be very, very happy being at half-time 0-0.
Yeah, they'd be even happier if it was the same scoreline in 90 minutes, but Celtic with 45 minutes to find a way through. Half-time at Celtic Park. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Thank you to Alistair Lamond and to Pat Bonner there. Let's then get to Easter Road. Could a big story be developing this afternoon? Hibs against Livingston. There for us, Michael Stewart.
Well, it certainly could, Kenny. It's a poor performance from Hibs in the first half. They find themselves 1-0 down, and it's been pretty much one-way traffic in the early parts of the half. Livingston started very, very brightly, and they were able to create a couple of opportunities and cause some problems for the home side, and it was only in 8 minutes when they got their noses in front. Great play down the left-hand side with Penrice putting the ball across the face of the goal. It's gone down as an Abito own goal, but it could well have been a number of other players from Livingston. I think Pittman was in there as well, looking to force it over the line, and Hibs didn't really have any reaction. It was slow, ponderous, pedestrian from the home side, and it was Livingston up until those stages that were looking the more likely to get their noses in front even further. And same sort of opening, Joel Newbley down the left-hand side played a lovely little slide drill pass into Penrice's path again, ball right across the face of the goal. It was almost a carbon copy of the goal. This time though, they weren't able to get the ball into the back of the net, and there was a coming together, and David Marshall got a bit of a sore one. Fortunately for Hibs, he was okay. As the half's worn on, Hibs have been a little bit better, but really, if they've got any ambitions of getting anything out of this game, they'll have to up their game massively in the second half, increase the intensity and the tempo in the game, and if they don't, well, as you said right to get there, it would be a big scoreline and a big story because it'd be 3 league games and 3 league defeats for Hibs if they don't turn this around.
Yeah, and you'd have to say when we saw the fixtures at the start of the season, it looked fairly favourable for Lee Johnston's side in the opening games. It's going to get a whole lot tougher away at Aberdeen next Sunday. Let's see what develops in the second half at Easter Road. What a terrific first half for Derek McInnes and his Kilmarnock side. They're away at Motherwell this afternoon. There for us, Callum Davidson.
To Kilmarnock at half time, I think Derek McInnes will be extremely happy. I think Kilmarnock have been the better team. After 5 minutes, it was great bit of attacking play by Armstrong on his right hand side, put a ball back post, Watkins there with a header. From that, settled them down. I think they're the team that have been on the sense. They had a great chance. Young Watson put a fantastic ball into Vassell, who just flashed wide. Little chances for Motherwell towards the end of the half. Obviously Spittle with a chance, and Spencer back post, but I think the key players for Motherwell second half are going to be Slattery and Spittle. They're the ones with a bit of quality. They're the ones that will be able to drag Motherwell back in. For Kilmarnock, I think it's obviously Kennedy and McGuinness down this left hand side who are causing all the problems. McGuinness is drifting into little pockets. It's allowing them Watkins to make runs. Vassell's holding up well for Kilmarnock, so I think it might be a little change. Motherwell half time, he did tweak the formation just before the half time whistle, so we'll be interested to see how they start the second half. They need to get the fans behind them. They haven't really had much to shout about, so we'll see how the start of the second half goes.
Thank you to Callum Davidson. Full second half action to come right here on BBC Radio Scotland. There's an option of commentary from Celtic Park, Celtic against St Johnstone, all the other games and all the goal news on Open All Mic. Stay tuned for that. Our first commentary of the day came from Dingwall, Rangers beating Ross County by 2 goals to 0. Kemar Roof and James Tavernier. Let's now hear the thoughts of the Rangers manager Michael Beale. He spoke with our reporter Rob McLean.
Michael, how good was that first half from Rangers?
Really strong, exactly what we wanted. We knew we'd come here today and Ross County would have a go at us, and I knew that people would think, well, where's their eyes? Our eyes were firmly on this game, and I think the start to the game showed that. We had a couple of chances with Cyril just before we scored. Delighted for Kamara, obviously, and James with a special goal. Gets us in a good place. From then you like to kick on, and we did have big chances to extend the lead. I thought Malky switched things up second half really well, and they gave us some problems, but I'm delighted with a clean sheet because I think the front two for them, plus Sims and Dandu, are going to cause teams problems this season.
That was exactly what you wanted from Kemar Roof, wasn't it? And obviously you're going to use him carefully, and you took him off after an hour, but it was a great goal.
Yeah, my faith in Kem is really big because I get to see him every day, and I'm just delighted for him. You know, he's a leader in our team, and we've been missing him for a long time, and I think for his teammates as well, it's lovely for them because they've seen what he's had to go through to get back. So as everybody, staff, teammates, and I'm sure the fans as well are delighted for Kemar.
You would be pleased with aspects of the second half as well because Ross County were more competitive, I think, second half. You'd to show different qualities.
Yeah, they were a little bit more direct and they threw more players forward looking for the chance. They had the big chance, didn't they, with White straight after half-time. I thought once we brought Rabi and Abdullah on, it stretched the game out, and in those moments I'm expecting us to maybe go and increase the lead because we had big chances, but no, it was a competitive second half. I would like us to have shown a bit more composure at times, but the way the game was, they did have a high line, and it's there, you know, to go and run in behind. So look, if you can't score the third, make sure you keep the clean sheet. That's a good trait, and I'd like to see us keep more now.
You got Tom Lawrence on the pitch as well, which is significant.
Yeah, similar to Kemar, like at his age and the experience he's got, there are leaders in our dressing room, and they've been stolen from us, or we've been lost to us for over a year now, the pair of them. So they come back in. We've got a lot of new players coming into the league for the first time. So on days like today, you know, coming up here and the way the game is, it's important that some of the more experienced lads step up. So I thought we got the blend quite right today, and it's lovely to have Tom back.
You can think about Eindhoven on Wednesday now. How confident do you feel?
Well, the team's showing good signs. It seems to be improving with every single game. Obviously, the setback of the first game of the season knocked us back a little bit. Took the stuff in, and the anxiety and the excitement in the fans probably was dulled a little bit. But the last few games, I think we've really made steps in the right direction. So we go there in a good place. No injuries, everyone fit, everyone looking forward to it. And what have we got to lose? So let's go and have a right good go at the game.
Yeah, full coverage of that game on Wednesday evening on Sports and looking at the live table. Celtic 7 points, Kilmarnock 7 points, Rangers 6, St Mirren 6. St Mirren are in action tomorrow at home to Aberdeen. Let's then go into our Championship matches this afternoon. Fair to say, Chick Young, not a classic for you down there at Somerset Park.
Ayr United 0, Dundee United 0, scoreline that was included by the half-time announcer as he ran through the scores throughout the country, as if the people here in the ground hadn't noticed. I couldn't blame them if it dozed off during that first half. It was not a classic. There were a couple of moments, Kenny. There was a fantastic double save from Charlie Albinson. There's been a couple of threats from Dundee United and the occasional breakaway from Ayr United, but there's been a lot of huffing and puffing in the middle of the park. Just put this down as not a thriller so far and pray for a dazzling second half.
We can only but hope. There's a choice of listening now. Full commentary of Celtic against St Johnstone, tuned to BBC Radio Scotland on digital, Radio Scotland Extra on BBC Sounds and 810 medium wave, and for open all mics choose BBC Sounds and 92 to 95 FM.
All the action
from all the biggest games.
This is Sports Sound. From BBC Radio Scotland.
Well, we're already back underway at Celtic Park. St Johnstone have won themselves a free kick on this near side as they go from left to right at the start of the second period. No goals in the first half. St Johnstone defending well. Can they offer something in a positive sense at the outside of this second period? It's going to be Matt Smith to take the free kick, just a few yards in from the right flank, midway inside the Celtic half. Up he steps, the midfielder. Can't beat the first man, who was Callum McGregor. Up goes Olafunwa to win the header. Smith nods it back down to Robinson just inside his own half, and it'll be quickly closed down by Kyogo, so he turns it back to Mitov in the St Johnstone goal. No changes for either side at the interval, so it's as you were. Just run you through the sides quickly. It's Hart and goal, Johnston, Lagerbielke, Scales and Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Turnbull, Maida, Yang and Kyogo for Celtic, as they have a throw in over on the far side down near the corner flag. It's Johnston picking up, has to turn back the way, then flips it to O'Reilly almost at the corner flag. He knocks it forward on the goal line for Johnston, but he overhits his attempted cross. It's behind for a goal kick, which allows me to run through St Johnston's side, which is Mitov in goal, Olafunwa, McClellan, Considine and Robinson, Smith, Phillips, Costello, Carey, Turner-Cook and Jeffcott. Paki, no discernible differences at the outside of this second half. Celtic getting back on the front foot.
No, and Celtic, of course, want to, I think, up the tempo a little bit, and when they do get chances, put them in the back of the net this time, and it'll create a different dynamic in this game. But as long as it goes on 0-0 at this point, St Johnstone know that they've got something really, really good to play for, and they'll work really hard. They'll keep their structure, they'll keep their organisation, and Daniel Phillips in the middle of that pitch will be putting his tackles in and so on, stopping Celtic trying to get control of the game.
My learned colleague and friend Leanne Crichton informed me at half-time that was the first half since the 18th of March here at Celtic Park that Celtic had failed to score in the first period. Certainly they've only failed to score in an entire game once in the last 33 league games. That was in the 3-0 defeat at Ibrox last May when the title was already wrapped up. So they tend to get on the score sheet one way or the other eventually, and quite often more than once. Here's Yang trying to find a way through that St Johnstone defence. O'Reilly couldn't quite take it in his stride, nor could he link with a teammate. St Johnstone managed to work it clear up to Jeffcott, tracked there by Lagerbielke. He manages to win it back from him to the applause of the home fans.
Yeah, it was a better ball from Liam Scales out to Yang on this side here, with pace that he could actually get a touch and open up and go forward, and he got himself into a really good position. Picked Matt O'Reilly out from an inside right position inside the box. He just failed. Oh, there's another
Johnston, another good ball. Yang touches it back as it came to him at the back post and couldn't find a Celtic jersey, and St Johnstone again managed to clear but it's a terrific inviting ball from Alistair Johnstone, just begging to be attacked, as you pointed out on more than one occasion, Packy. No one attacking the front post.
As another example, and as another, that's about, I would say, 4 great balls have been put across that 6-yard box.
Here's Johnstone with another opportunity to do just that, touches it back, another great save from Mitov to deny O'Reilly. How did he keep that one out? That's 3 times O'Reilly has had an effort at goal, and 3 times Mitov has been more than a match. Terrific stop from the Bulgarian.
Terrific goalkeeping, but a very similar situation in all 3 occasions. You know, ball's cut back. This time he's just outside the near post, opens up his foot and just gets it on target, hoping that maybe the goalkeeper might have went early, but he stood up and he got his hands to the ball and kept it out.
Here comes Celtic left hand side this time. Taylor plays it off. Olafunwa wins the corner, but my goodness, what a save from Dimitar Mitov. It does look like an inspired signing for Stephen McLean's side. 0-0 then with 50 minutes gone at Celtic Park.
Well, if it goes down to shot stop, and he certainly has proved that, the other part of the game, build up and so on, they haven't taken any risk whatsoever. They just kicked it long on every occasion. So
Turnbull corner, left hand side, and it comes good take as well from Mitov, using his aerial ability there as well. Came off his line 6 yards out and clutched that at its highest point, and no chance for the Celtic heads to get onto that. He's been impressive, Packy.
I'll tell you, that was impressive. That was really impressive. I haven't seen too many goalkeepers that come off their line in among bodies and is able to catch and hold the ball under severe pressure. That time, really good. Gets up high and holds on to that cross.
Here's Yang giving chase up against Olafunwa. Yang gets there first, cuts it across goal. Kyogo can't get there. Knocked away as far as Turnbull, but good challenge by the Saints captain Phillips to win it back in the edge of his own box. He plays the 1-2 with Costello, and then Turner Cook, I beg your pardon, is taken down. There's a yellow card shown for the challenge there. Was it
Matt O'Reilly?
O'Reilly who got it, yeah. It was O'Reilly, who will wonder how on earth he's not already on the score sheet, having scored 2 this season.
Yeah, and you know, maybe if he just got it lower down to the goalkeeper, because it was such a short distance between himself and the goalkeeper, I don't think the goalkeeper would have any chance, but he's played it up into the area where a goalkeeper maybe might get an opportunity, get a hand to it, or get a body in front of the ball, and it was a good save, taking nothing away from the save, and it was really good.
Celtic have it right hand side, try to work the ball down the right, but it's off carrying out of play for a Celtic thrower in the halfway line, taken by Johnstone. Back to Lagerbielke inside his own half, plays it square for Scales. Now Taylor just inside St Johnstone half, out to Yang. Yang steps inside Olafunwa. It's good penetrating run. The layoff wasn't ideal, but Celtic still have it through McGregor. Slides it forward for Taylor, back for O'Reilly. O'Reilly has to stretch to knock it back to Johnstone. It strikes me that Yang is definitely excited when he gets on the ball. He maybe just hasn't quite put everything together as yet, but certainly he's got the beating of his man.
Yeah, what's interesting for me though is that Maeda stayed over on the right and Yang on the left, and sometimes it looks as if they could actually maybe swap wings and see what comes out of it, you know, because he certainly likes to use his right foot, while Maeda looks as if he's cutting in more than getting down to the byline. So that little changeover might change the dynamic of what they're actually doing and give a decision for defenders to make.
Celtic have a free kick quickly taken. It's Yang on the left hand side, tries to send it back post, but he's got that one all wrong. As Packy said, he prefers to use his right, and that was on the left foot, and it's harmlessly behind for us. St Johnstone goal kick. We've played bang on 53 minutes. It's still Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, I just wonder how the crowd will react as long as this game keeps going the way it's going. From a point of view against St Johnstone, have really struggled this season so far. They look much more organised. I haven't seen them during the League Cup or so on. You know, have they improved? Are they better because he's brought in new players, or is Celtic just struggling with a little bit of confidence at the moment?
St Johnstone look like they're lining up a double change early in this second period, which is interesting because things are going pretty well for them, albeit in a defensive sense only, because they haven't really been up the park at all, and maybe that's what Stephen McLean is trying to achieve as he prepares to bring on, looks like Stevie May and James Brown down there, who are stripped as Olafunwa prepares to take
plenty of experience. All I've got to say with St Johnstone on the bench, you know, those players that they can bring in. Stevie May, they've got Cammy McPherson back from injury. Chris Kane is back from injury, so there are lots of experience in there. Liam Gordon sitting on there also can be introduced if they need him later on, maybe to go to a back three or a back five to win a point.
Celtic have the throw in just down in front of Stevie McLean's technical area, and he just gives the nod to the kit man to introduce the board and introduce the players who are going to come on, and it's going to be a straight swap at right back. Dare Olafunwa, who's certainly been tested by Yang. He's done relatively well against him. He's going to be replaced by James Brown, and then Stevie May is going to come on again. It's going to be a straight swap up front for Luke Jeffcott, who certainly put in a shift back. He's barely had an opportunity. He had just had that one chance that flashed wide in the first half, but otherwise it's been more about trying to occupy the Celtic back line and hold them up, first line of defence almost.
Yeah, I think it's just freshness that Steve McLean is looking for more so than anything else. He's obviously looked at his right back and said, you know, a lot of balls coming down that side now, and you've had 4 or 5 sprints, and you know, is the legs going a little bit, so he's just freshening it up.
It's a Celtic free kick, and again it's quickly taken midway inside the St Johnstone half. We played 55.5 minutes. It's Scales tries to slide it through for David Turnbull, but again St Johnstone getting their distances right. They're in the road when the balls try to penetrate, and they have kept the efforts on target from Celtic to a minimum, and when they have had efforts on target, it's been an excellent performance by Dimitar Mitov in the St Johnstone goal. Maida has it out the right hand side for Celtic, turns it back the way to Lagerbielke. Now Scales just on the edge of the centre circle inside the St Johnstone half, plays it short to McGregor. McGregor plays it to Taylor, who's in the central area. He comes out to the left hand side now to Yang up against Brown for the first time since he's come on, plays it to Turnbull. Now Taylor, edge of the box, right footed shot, well over the top. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, just couldn't get it out quick enough to he was getting closed down, and he took it early, Greg Taylor, but again the ball's played out to Yang quickly onto his right foot, linking up with other players.
St Johnstone goal kick then to be taken by Mitov.
Yeah, I just wonder whether Brendan Rodgers will freshen things up also from a Celtic's perspective. He's got James Forrest, Haksabanovic, who last week came on, did okay, looked quite bright.
Yeah, certainly a variety of options to him, and he's actually signalling to a couple of Celtic players who are down there warming up. Abada is also there, could be more than 2 actually, as Haksabanovic, the peroxide blonde hair, makes his way back, and Tony Ralston as well. Maybe Alistair Johnson's not quite ready for 90 minutes as yet, making his first start of the season after ankle surgery over the summer. Here's Yang, left hand side for Celtic, gets away from Brown, but McClellan's in the way, and it's knocked away by Smith up to the halfway line. But St Johnstone, I wouldn't fancy can sit as deep as they are right now for the rest of the 90 minutes and expect to keep a clean sheet. It's very, very rare you see that working at Celtic Park, but they've done well up until this point certainly, and might just fancy their chances of being able to prove me wrong. Here is Lagerbielke finding O'Reilly on the edge of the box, out to the right hand side. It's Johnston, fires it near post. Now what did that come off? Andrew Considine says it with my chest as it went behind for the corner.
Yeah, I think he was in control of what he was doing, and it did come off his chest. We're obviously not at a great angle here to see it, but just nobody reacted from Celtic's perspective, and when that doesn't happen, you know that, and the crowd didn't even react from behind the goal.
Yeah, although the referee does have his finger to his ear, which does indicate there's a check going on, as Abada and Haksabanovic and Ralston prepare to come on for Celtic. I think it'll be left until after the corner kick is taken. and it will be a corner kick and nothing more after the referee signals for play to continue. In at the near post from O'Reilly, knocked away by the St Johnstone defence. Back to O'Reilly, Celtic right, back to Johnstone it comes, just outside the centre circle. O'Reilly once more, feeds it for Taylor on the right hand side. The block goes in as a despairing challenge, might break for Yang. Down goes Smith inside his own penalty area, and Yang adjudged to have fouled him. It was one of those, Packy, which almost always goes the way of the defending player, regardless of how much contact there was, and the Celtic fans howl their derision as the triple change is about to be made. So Ralston for Johnstone.
Yeah, they're just obviously cautious with Johnson, making sure that he did a very good return, I've got to say, in the first half especially. Lent himself to the game, got into great positions, put some really good crosses into dangerous situations, but they're just protecting him a little bit from that perspective. And Maeda's come off. A bad over on the right hand side. Haksabanovic has come on for Turnbull, will play almost through the middle in that number 10 position. So let's see if those players can ignite Celtic a little bit and create something in this closing time.
Yeah, half an hour to go, bang on the hour, as Brendan Rodgers makes the triple change, hoping to inspire his side. They are unbeaten at home domestically since January 2021. It's an incredible record. 45 league games, 51 in total, of which they've won 45 and drawn just 6. That was since St Mirren beat them here 2-1 at the end of January a couple of years back. So 2.5 years unbeaten here. They're not been beaten here this afternoon certainly, but they are being held to a goalless draw, and Stevie May was offside just before he won his side. A corner kick there, and it will be a Celtic free kick, despite the protestations down below us of Stevie McLean.
I think what they're giving out about is that it looked like a free kick before the ball was played to Stevie May, who was in an offside position, and the referee kind of played advantage and then called Stevie May offside. So he could have brought it back for the free kick to St Johnstone, but he didn't.
61 on the clock, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0. Still 1-0 Livingston and 1-0 Kilmarnock, last I heard. And the other Premiership 3 o'clock kickoff, with Rangers winning 2-0 earlier in Dingwall. Here's O'Reilly on the goal line, into the box. He was looking to try and find the runner. Abada, as he made his way into the box, was just ahead of him, and it's swept away as St Johnstone still hold out as Scales picks up on the halfway line. Now Taylor.
St Johnstone are really retreated right back to the edge of their 18-yard box.
Kyogo trying to find Haksabanovic, does well to dig out the cross to the back post. O'Reilly arriving, but it was really a difficult one to take, and he couldn't get it on target. That was a really difficult one to try and force a save that time from the goalkeeper, and as it was over the top. Is there going to be another change? I thought I saw the assistant.
He did. He was flagging for something. I don't know what it was.
There's no one ready to come on, is there?
No, but it was kind of a strange gesture from the assistant down here on this sort of near side to us. But anyway, the referee plays on. But that chance for Matt O'Reilly was, as you say, really difficult, because it came to him, it bounced up, and he had it almost taken on the volley and just couldn't get it under control. But again, a half chance. It was a good ball played in behind the St Johnstone defence. But St Johnstone are growing a little bit in confidence here. They know that they maybe might sneak something out of this game by working hard, but also maybe create that one chance that he could go and score a goal and have an unbelievable result. I think this is maybe because of Andrew Constantine's down. He looks as if his days kind of numbered. He's a critical player for St Johnstone too, centre back, and they're going to make the change.
Yeah, Liam Gordon getting ready. Thankfully for St Johnstone, he was named on the bench, although he's not on the official team sheet. But yeah, Considine looks done. Not sure exactly what happened to him, but Liam Gordon, the St Johnstone skipper, will come on and replace him, and the assistant again. So I'm assuming the assistant had been given that instruction that was going to happen, which is why he put his flag up in the manner he did when we spotted it earlier on.
Yeah, but I think the referee was right to play on because there was nobody organised or ready to come on at that point in time. Obviously the information was given from the St Johnstone bench to him that they wanted to make a change because Andrew Considine must have signalled to them that he was struggling.
Celtic fans growing impatient as Considine takes a while to get himself up and off the pitch. But he will go off over on the far side. As I mentioned earlier, he gave away a couple of own goals against Celtic last season and was ordered off, so this afternoon has been slightly better, but he wouldn't have wanted to go off injured, that's for sure.
No, listen, he's a very experienced player. You know, he's had a remarkable career. But what age is he now? 36 years old, I think, around about that. And you know, an injury like that is not something that he would welcome at this stage. Difficult at times as you get older to get over these injuries.
Well, he missed almost an entire season a couple of years back at Aberdeen, didn't he, with a bad injury incurred on European duty, if I remember, and missed the rest of the season. But, brilliant servant to Aberdeen, absolutely, and he's done well for St Johnstone as Kyogo battles away in the middle of the park, but Smith has done really well to win it back and then keep it and find a teammate in the shape of Costello as St Johnstone grow in confidence. Carey wins the header against Ralston, thought he was impeded, but the referee didn't agree, and Celtic have it, and it's a right hand side, and it's Abada coming forward. Ralston's outside of him. Here he is now, the substitutes linking up. Ralston back to O'Reilly, edge of the box, steps away from Phillips, right hand side of the box, can he cut it back across goal? Mitov goes down at his near post and gets there before Kyogo, and it's still, with 65.5 minutes played, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
This is another good ball, across that almost near post area. The goalkeeper comes and takes. He should not be allowed to come and take that easily. Somebody should be getting across in front of him, and again, those runs are not coming in the way that I would have expected, or the way that he did last season.
Stevie May putting pressure on Liam Scales, and then Joe Hart clearing before May can get close to him. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Pack. I mean, it's a marked difference from last season when Kyogo was inevitably in at the front post with every ball that came across, and he scored so many goals in that manner.
Yeah, and Al, I think that's because he was starting almost on the shoulder of defenders. Now he's been sort of kind of asked, or whether it's him or whether it's the tactics, to come and play almost deeper in the space between the midfield and the back four. So when a ball does quickly go wide and go into that area, he's obviously having to travel a longer distance to get into those positions.
There've been a lot of doom mongers, shall we say, about St Johnstone this season, but without wishing to predict anything at this stage, they are giving a good account of themselves this afternoon as the ball comes off Matthew McDermott. The referee, as Matt O'Reilly tried to find space for a pass, and it will be a drop ball Celtic's way just outside St Johnstone's area. O'Reilly tries to help it into the path of Taylor, who had made headway into the penalty box. St Johnstone again clear the lines as James Forrest prepares to come on with a quarter of the game remaining, and it will be Yang who's replaced, who's been decent again, back enough to suggest that there's a good player there, but maybe just the end product hasn't quite been there.
Yeah, I think he's a decent player, and that it'll be interesting to see how he develops under Brendan Rodgers. But certainly, you can't condemn at this stage of his career. He's only come to the club. He's got to have time to settle in, like all players, and make his impact in that way. But he has got ability. But let's see if James Forrest can do something different.
I was going to tell you that Hibs had equalised, which they had indeed. Martin Boyle brought them level, but Bruce Anderson has just put Livingston back in front at Easter Road. The Cat could be amongst the pigeons there. 2-1 to Livy, 1-0 Kilmarnock still lead at Fir Park, and 0-0 here at Celtic Park between the champions and bottom of the league St Johnstone, who have 21 minutes to hold on to try and get a famous point, and it would go down as a famous point.
This would be a remarkable point if they got it out, considering where they've been, and their confidence must have been low. Obviously, the players who've come in, it hasn't affected them too much, and they've come in trying to make an impact. But overall, the club was in a little bit of a downward spiral, and that this would be a huge result for them. From Celtic's perspective, to lose 2 points or even 3 points, would be shocking, considering the game that's coming up next week. They're in a position that they have the 3-point advantage at the moment.
Well, Stephen McLean said, "Judge me, judge St Johnstone," at the end of the transfer window, and certainly the way they look now looks to be much improved from what it was, but they're on the back foot again with a bad attacking them down the right hand side. Ralston gets to the byline. Did he manage to keep it in? He did, and he played it off a St Johnstone player behind for a corner. Celtic trying to ramp up the pressure here going into the final 20 minutes. Still no goals though, as Forrest knocks it back to McGregor. Edge of the box is Haksabanovic, tries to shape a shot, just touched wide by Mitov. What a game he is having on his first appearance at Celtic Park. He might have injured himself here. He's certainly indicating to the referee that he needs treatment. The referee says, "Don't worry, I'm pointing to my watch and I'm adding on all this time." But wow, Dimitar Mitov getting down to his left-hand post to turn that round the post and deny Sead Haksabanovic.
That was a brilliant save, I've got to say. Real pace on the ball. Haksabanovic curls it down his left-hand side. It bounces almost a yard in front of him, and he gets across from the middle of his goal, stretches, but also makes a brilliant save. I think he's picked up cramp or something on his foot, but what a save that was.
Celtic try again from the corner, but Forrest quickly closed down. It'll be another corner, but well, I'll tell you what, if it does end goalless, there's only one man of the match, isn't there? As O'Reilly curls it in, it's headed away by McClellan. That's a good defensive header. He's also been a tower of strength at the back for St Johnstone as Phillips tries to hold off. Abada does so. McClelland on his own goal line just tries to knock it down the right flank, but it's out of play. 20 minutes to play. Celtic nil, St Johnstone nil. It's really been one-way traffic, as it so often is at Celtic Park, but they haven't been able to find a breakthrough as yet.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about that front post area, but you've got to hand it to St Johnstone. They've defended the front post area very, very well, and indeed they haven't allowed anybody to get into that position, and anytime it has come in there, it's either gone right across the goal or they've cleared it.
Here's Taylor out to Forrest on the left hand side, up against Brown. Brown stands up, won't let Forrest past him easily. Back the way it goes to Haksabanovic, 25 yards from goal, left hand side. Scales now plays it square to Lagabielka, tries to slide the pass through at the edge of the box. Phillips is in the way, May can't keep it, but Carey collects it just outside his own penalty area. And now it's Brown, right hand side, just knocks one long for Costello to chase. Scales is with him. Costello's got the better of him, to the byline he goes, he's turned away from him. Costello with the opportunity. Oh, brilliant save from Joe Hart. That was bound for the back of the net. Superb play from Costello on the right hand side to get away from Scales. He got the shot off, and Scales thanked his goalkeeper there for keeping the scoreline blank, because that was almost a shock lead for the Saints.
Oh wow, that was an incredible touch from Joe Hart. Just a reflex save at the end. Costello getting himself into a great position. Scales struggling to deal with the ball, was bounced up. He knocked it over him, over Scales, got into a grid and let rip, and there was just a touch from Joe Hart to almost deflect the ball wide for a corner.
To be taken from the left hand side, in swinger near post, free header there. I think it was McClellan too. It was Gordon in fact who got down, and he should have done better. He was coming away from goal, but he didn't get any power in the header whatsoever, and Celtic able to clear and quickly able to counter, but they've lost possession. And St Johnstone, having defended for so long, now beginning to try and come out and win this game, far less draw it, but that move breaks down and Celtic have it once more. But what a save that was from Joe Hart to deny Dara Costello a debut goal. Here's Abada, right hand side for Celtic, up towards the edge of the penalty. It takes a deflection, Kyogo's in there and he just gets the shot away, but it's blocked behind for yet another Celtic corner. 17 left, Celtic nil, St Johnstone nil.
Yeah, just before this corner's taken, the chance from the St Johnstone corner was a brilliant chance too for Liam Gordon. Nobody within about 3 or 4 yards of him, and he dives to head it.
O'Reilly in swinger from the right hand side. Scales can't reach it, comes out to McGregor. Can he get the shot away? Lays it back to O'Reilly instead, right hand side. No. Clips it back post. Mitov collects, but there's no one in the Celtic jersey there either. In any case, he has done something to his left foot, it looks like, or is it his left calf? Mitov, he's down again. And the Celtic fans aren't happy, but he does appear to have done something. Well, he's certainly been lively. He's had to be lively, Packy, but is there any excuse for a goalkeeper getting cramp?
I don't know. But he certainly has. That's what's causing the problem for him. He's getting cramp on his left calf. It came obviously from the save he made, whatever has happened, and now from that cross, he again showed great agility off his back post to come and collect that cross. There was no Celtic player within distance of him, but he just showed good agility and height to get up there. So he looks like a goalkeeper that will definitely make big saves, and he'll be vital to St Johnstone this season.
He certainly will on this showing, and as I said earlier, the reports about him in the previous games, even though St Johnstone had been doing poorly, were that he was a good signing. Stephen McLean saying he's been excellent since he joined, showing what a good keeper he is, and getting noticed by the Bulgaria manager, one of the main reasons he wanted to move up here. Well, he had the first call up to the Bulgaria squad for the September fixtures upcoming, so if there are Bulgarian keepers better than him, then they must be pretty impressive on this performance today.
We haven't seen any of the other part of the game that I'm sure Bulgaria will want to do, is that sort of getting on the ball, hitting the passes and so on. I think he kicked one out of play over on the left hand side, but certainly from the old traditional making the saves, taking the crosses, that part of his game looks very, very good indeed.
He's back up on his feet, but he's got 15 minutes yet to play, and he'll probably have to be called into action again in that last quarter of an hour. Alessandro Bernabé has come on, the final Celtic change of the afternoon, to replace Greg Taylor at left back. Celtic fans are furious about the time wasting, but Matthew McDermott has indicated it will all be added on, so we've got probably well over 15 minutes still to play. St Johnstone still holding Celtic to 0-0 as it stands.
Yeah, it's an incredible result when you think about it. Celtic at home, I know they've had their injury problems, but it's nothing to do with injuries to the centre halves today. It's about putting the ball in the back of the net when they had the chances, and it hasn't happened, and that's now created the pressure pot for them.
Here's Bernabé down the left for Forrest, out of play off Brown. Celtic throwing on the midway point on the left hand side as they come forward. Back it goes to Scales, just inside St Johnstone territory. Plays a 1-2 with McGregor. Out to the left hand side to Bernabé, as I hear that Slattery for Motherwell has missed a penalty to draw them level against Kilmarnock. So still 1-0 to Kelly as Derek McInnes' side. Excellent start to the season continues. Scales forward for Kyogo, trying to link with Haksabanovic or indeed Bernabé. Neither of them can get there as Brown just toe pokes it over the halfway line, and St Johnstone will reorganise once again with 13 minutes of the 90 left. Still 0-0. Scales clips it forward looking for Kyogo. That's meat and drink though for McClelland. The header though falls to O'Reilly, gets it back from Haksabanovic, and now it's the skipper McGregor out to Ralston and further out to the right hand side to Abada, trying to attack Robinson and link again with Ralston, but St Johnstone get bodies in the way and manage to win it back. But all they've done is just play it up over the halfway line and give possession back to Celtic,
because the two strikers have now just dropped deeper and deeper, almost just again to make it difficult for Celtic to play through them in that midfield area. So when they do win the ball, they don't have any real target to hit up front and to give it away, but they're defending well, they're well organised, they're structured, every one of them is balancing off each other and getting their distances right. But Celtic just needs somebody to step up, somebody either in a 1v1 or pick the right pass to score this crucial goal to keep that 3-point lead above their main rivals.
Bernabé out to Forrest, left hand side, tries to spin away from Brown. It's going to be a free kick for the challenge by Brown, and Forrest takes it quickly infield to Haksabanovic. Bernabé stuck out on the left hand side, that's where the ball goes. Back goes Costello to challenge him, knocks it behind for a Celtic corner. 12 to play, still 0-0. Haksabanovic across to take the corner kick from the left-hand side as Celtic look to break the deadlock. Back it goes to Bernabei from the corner kick. Back out to Haksabanovic, left-hand side, slides it forward for Forrest. Forrest with a cut back into the middle. Kyogo's there, but he can't get it on target. And it's still Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0, and it's 3-1 Livingston at Easter Road.
Yeah, that was a chance for Kyogo this time. Forrest getting to the byline and just playing it first time, almost out to about 7 or 8 yards. Kyogo did get good contact in the ball, or decent contact. I wouldn't say good contact, decent contact. You would expect him to direct that on target, but knocks it well by the post.
Goal kick taken by Mitov, flicked on by Carey, who's putting pressure on the Celtic back line, but Abada has it back, not for too long, as Carey, former Celtic youth player, plays the pass, but Celtic again win possession back in their own defensive area. Bernabei now left-hand side, coming up towards the halfway line. Back it goes to Scales, just over 10 minutes of the 90 remaining. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0. St Johnstone looking for a famous result here, and Celtic passing breaks down out on the far side, and some of the fans getting really upset about what they're seeing in front of them this afternoon. It hasn't been the attractive style of football we saw so often under Ange Postecoglou. The free-flowing, high-scoring football has not been in evidence. And St Johnstone proving a tough nut to crack as the ball's played forward to May. He can't keep it. Haksabanovic plays it off Phillips, but Gordon is there. He'll play it back to his goalkeeper. Kyogo will go and try and close Mitov down. Mitov gets it clear up towards the halfway line, nodded down by Ralston. Only to McClellan though, who plays it square to Brown inside his own half. He just knocks it over the halfway line.
Deal with it.
Yeah, it's one for Liam Scales to deal with, but he hasn't really done so. Turner Cook has managed to get himself in there. Here he was once more. Oh, not a bad ball into the box, but it was behind Stevie May and headed away by Lagerbielke. And then there was a free kick there awarded to Celtic, I think for a handball potentially by Brown, as Taylor Cook's having to try and stretch off the calves as well. He's also suffering from a bit of cramp. You can understand the Celtic fans' frustration, but you can also understand that players like Turner Cook, their first game of the season on a pitch this size on his Celtic debut, is feeling the pace after the amount of running he's done.
Yeah, of course, that's when you get cramp. You've got, he's just walking off the pitch, so it's a McPherson that's coming on. Yeah, but that last ball down on top of Scales, he's got to get his head to the ball. Don't let it bounce is the key principle when you're a centre half and there's a high ball. As soon as you let it bounce, you're under pressure.
Yeah, Cammy McPherson on for Jay Turner Cook, whose St Johnstone debut has been mightily impressive. Can his teammates hold out for what could be a precious point here at Celtic Park? It's Forrest on the left-hand side up against Brown, back the way to Haksabanovic, about 30 yards from goal, spins away from Phillips, not once but twice, then plays the ball for Forrest, gets it back on the left-hand side, just takes one touch too many, and St Johnstone able to pick up, but Bernabei has picked the pocket of Phillips, then can't find a teammate with the pass, and Carey's able to bring that clear. Ralston left in his wake and plays it forward for Stevie May. Stevie May could be in here as he got the beating of Lagerbielke. Stevie May in on the left-hand side. Great save again by Joe Hart. Comes to Graham Carey, who tries to lift it over the keeper. It's too high and out, but Joe Hart, for the little he's had to do, has had to make two big saves in this game.
Oh, he spread himself well. I'll tell you what, Stevie Mays and used his pace. They weren't catching him. Lagerbielke was not catching him, and I've got to say it was a fairly acute angle, but Joe Hart comes out, spreads his body, and it bangs off his chest.
Here's Ralston at the other end, the cross goal. Again, it's the boot of Mitov that knocks it behind, as the Celtic fans try and get behind their side as they try to urge them on to find the winning goal with 7 minutes to play plus injury time. It's a corner over on the far side. There's another St Johnstone player down feeling the effects. It's Dara Costello this time inside his own penalty area, who potentially needs some treatment. but my goodness, end to end there just for the moment. I have to say, the last 3 good chances that I've noted down have all come for St Johnstone, Packy.
Yeah, absolutely. On the counter-attack on a couple of occasions, getting in, Celtic not being able to defend it, and thankfully Joe Hart came up for them.
In comes a corner punch this time from Mitov, and Cammy McPherson will go and chase that. He'll get there ahead of McGregor. McGregor, though, doing great work to get back in front of the St Johnstone midfielder. He was being fouled by him, and the free kick goes Celtic's way. Great tenacity and work rate there. You would expect nothing less from Callum McGregor as he tries to urge Celtic forward down the right hand side. It's Ralston at the byline, the cut back, the header over the top from Forrest, the unlikely man to get on the end of it with the header, but he couldn't rise high enough to direct the header downwards, and it's a foot or so too high, and it remains with 6 to play. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Another good bit of play from Anthony Ralston down that right hand side, getting at the byline. This time variation on the cross, a little dinky ball into about 7 or 8 yards, middle of the goal. James Forrest getting in there, but he just couldn't direct it on target, and I thought he should have done better, to be perfectly honest, because there was a great opportunity. Just could have adjusted his position a little bit as the ball was flighted across. Instead it comes off the top of his head and goes over the crossbar. Celtic struggling here to break down this St Johnstone defence.
Celtic have it. Graham Carey's gone down over on the far side, but he's off the pitch, I think, and play continues as Forrest picks up left hand side, having missed that opportunity a moment ago. Comes in off the left, lays it back to McGregor. McGregor square for Lagerbielke, 40 yards from goal, out to the right hand side for Abada. Ralston thinking about making an overlap again, is infield instead for O'Reilly. Back to Lagerbielke. Every Celtic player barring Joe Hart is within 30 yards of the St Johnstone goal as Celtic look for a winner. It's Haksabanovic out to Bernabei, and it goes to Forrest. He can't keep it. St Johnstone have it. They can't hold on to it though, and it's Forrest winning it back. In comes Phillips in behind Bernabei to knock it out of play. It's a Celtic throw in about 10 yards from the left corner flag. Back it's taken quickly to Scales. Square for McGregor, midway inside the St Johnstone half. St Johnstone with everyone camped in front of their goal, trying to keep Celtic out. It's Bernabei, back to Scales. Square it goes for McGregor. McGregor shuffles it across to Ralston, who'll play it further to the right to Abada. Abada up against Robinson at the edge of the box on the right. Ralston once more for Abada. Angle of the box on the right hand side. Mays hit the deck inside the penalty area. Play continues. McGregor finds Bernabei. Still St Johnstone holding firm with 4 minutes of the 90 left. McGregor for O'Reilly. Can Celtic find an opening? Shot comes in, it's deflected. Out comes Mitov once more to collect that on the edge of his 6 yard box, and it's still Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, somebody just needs to take responsibility for Celtic. Fine passing it square, knocking it. Somebody has got to do the more creative situation, whether it's go and take a player on, open up, create a bit of space to get a shot on target. If you don't shoot, you can't score.
Brown sends it down the right touchline for St Johnstone. Scales will just have to knock that out of play. Thought about trying to play it down the left, and the Celtic fans are rather getting on Liam Scales back in the second half for a couple of iffy bits of decision making, you'd have to say. St Johnstone in absolutely no hurry to take this throwing down deep in Celtic territory. They've got 3 minutes of the 90 left, plus I'm going to guess about 6 or 7 minutes of stoppage time once Matthew McDermott has taken all the time wasting into play, and he's going to show a yellow card there to James Brown for taking too long over the throw, and eventually it's taken though for Phillips, right hand side of the box, comes in as played across the 6 yard box, but there was a foul in there on Haksabanovic, and it will be a free kick to Celtic inside their own box, which is taken by Scales. They've got just under 3 minutes of the 90, and Celtic Park try to roar the side on to find that winning goal. It's O'Reilly back to Scales, crossing the halfway line. Again, every Celtic player inside the St Johnstone half now except for Joe Hart, who's made a couple of really big saves in this second half to keep his side level. At the other end, Mitov has been outstanding in the St Johnstone goal as Lagerbielke tries to find a pass. Smith, who's been terrific in the engine room for St Johnstone, slides in to intercept. Breaks back now for Scales. Scales out to the left hand side. Bernabei looks up, tries to get the cross in. He eventually does. A back post ball will be headed behind by Graham Carey. It will be yet another Celtic corner. right hand side for O'Reilly to go across and try and eventually find a ball that will give Celtic the opportunity to bury St Johnstone once and for all. O'Reilly right hand side, in swinger, near post ball again. Mitov comes, gets something on it, not entirely convincing. Phillips helps it on, comes to Haksabanovic at the edge of the box. McGregor lays it off to Bernabei, tries to stand up towards the back post, headed towards goal. Kyogo can't get onto it and it's wide of goal. And we've played 88.5 minutes and it's still Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Well, this will be an incredible result for St Johnstone, I've got to say, considering where their minds have been to come here and pick out a point of any description from Celtic. And there's hard work. They nearly scored themselves on a couple of occasions, but I think the majority of the game is about defending, concentration, working hard. Celtic just struggling really to pick that pass, and when he did get the opportunities, the goalkeeper came up with some fantastic saves.
Yep, St Johnstone have got themselves thrown over on the far side as we approach the 90-minute mark, and we await fourth official Chris Fordyce's board to signal just how long will be added on. The throw-in is taken over on the far side out to May. Now it's Carey, left-hand side for St Johnstone, just manages to get it back to McPherson. McPherson about 30 yards from goal, desperately trying to hold on to possession. Now it's Carey, steps away from Abada. Now it's Robinson, left-hand side, swings it deep. Can St Johnstone find an incredible winning goal here? It's back for Phillips. Haksabanovic there just goes back to do the defending and digs it out of play. And it's a throw into St Johnstone. They've got Celtic exactly where they want them. It's 8 minutes to be added on. 8 minutes for St Johnstone to somehow hold on for a point. 8 minutes for Celtic to find the winning goal. I guess they would feel they've deserved in terms of their dominance of the ball, but they have been frustrated thus far as Celtic get the throw-in on this near side. 8 minutes left. Hibs have got one back at Easter Road. It's 3-2 there. Josh Campbell getting one back as the Celtic fans grow more and more frustrated at the stoppages in play here, but they've got it moving again. It's Bernabei approaching the halfway line, looks to feed Forrest. A terrible ball though from Bernabei, the Argentine, asking way too much of James Forrest there, and it's all the way through to Dimitar Mitov, who collects before Kyogo can get there and then just jogs across his penalty area, trying to tick down as many seconds as he can possibly get away with.
Yeah, I know Celtic in past games and so on, they always come up with the late show. They always come up with a goal when they look as if it's. But today it just doesn't seem that way. That they have got that sort of almost urgency. The crowd are frustrated.
The Scales.
And I'm not going to put any pressure on young Liam Scale. He's come in from nowhere, and the fans are getting frustrated with him because I don't think there's proper movement ahead of him for him to get the ball away quickly enough.
Phillips gets a kindly break there off the head of Bernabei as St Johnstone try and play their way out of danger. Carey though has given it away to Lagerbielke. Here's Abada now. Carey just brings him down, and it will be a free kick here as the players allowed to continue instead. Abada trying to make headway into the penalty area. O'Reilly challenged though, and it's going to be a goal kick in the end as Carey manages to play it off Ralston, and it's a St Johnstone goal kick. 2 minutes of the 8 of stoppage time have been played, and it's Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, and I think obviously getting beat against Kilmarnock was one thing, but losing points at home to St Johnstone when you have your biggest rivals to play next week is not what the fans expect, or not what the fans want, or I don't think Brendan Rodgers wants it either. So that's the real frustration, and now they've got all these injuries to deal with also, so it's a difficult time at the moment, I've got to say, from Celtic's perspective. How quickly things change.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mackie. After starting the season with 2 good league wins, particularly up at Aberdeen, that result 3-1 victory looked a really important one, but no one would have predicted they would drop points here this afternoon, and they might not yet. They've still got 5 minutes of stoppage time to find a winner, but as you say, it hasn't been all that inspiring from them this afternoon, albeit Dimitar Mitov has still been called upon to make a number of top saves in his first appearance at Celtic Park for St Johnstone. Cammy McPherson running into bother there. There's a yellow card, I think, for handball against Cammy McPherson in the end. It's going to be a Celtic free kick midway inside the St Johnstone half. Can the champions do what they so often do and find the late goal they require? A bit of impatience being shown by the fans as Ralston's ball was behind Bernabei. Here's Scales now. Short for McGregor. McGregor to Ralston. Out to the right hand side for Abada. Across goes Robinson to try and close him down and keep Celtic at bay. Back with Lagerbielke, midway inside the St Johnstone half, looking for a forward pass. It's Abada right hand side. Can they find a way through? Goes for goal, straight into the arms of Dimitar Mitov. He caught it well, Abada, but it was straight at the keeper as down goes Matt Smith on the edge of the box, the latest St Johnstone player to seemingly require some attention, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, and it was a decent strike, but goalkeeper positioned himself really well, and he probably deserves that from all the points of the saves that he's made, where he really shouldn't have had any chance from some of them, especially the ones from Matt O'Reilly when they were point blank, and that save he had from Haksabanovic, which was really fantastic.
It's a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. 3.5 minutes of the 8 added on remain. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0. Liam Scales coming forward. Now Haksabanovic. Scales once more, midway inside the St Johnstone half, plays it short to McGregor. Lagerbielke. Again, Smith sliding in. He's screened his defence superbly well. Packy always seems to read the pass particularly well and manages to avert the danger. Yeah. Here comes Celtic again. 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, they've closed up that middle really, really well, not allowing Celtic to penetrate them too often in that area. It's been more in the wide areas, and then they've dealt with that ball into that near post area.
Forrest ball in back post. It's headed away initially by Robinson. Ralston will just let that run for a Celtic throw-in down at the corner flag. 2.5 to play. Throw-in's a poor one though. It's going to run all the way through to Mitov, and the Celtic fans hugely disgruntled, and quite a number of them have already left. Swathes of space now around Celtic Park, and yeah, the atmosphere really quite odd in relation to the kind of winning atmosphere we're used to feeling around Celtic Park as Mitov takes his time and eventually launches it over the halfway line. 2 minutes left of stoppage time to play as Scales gives his head to the ball at the back for Celtic. Out to the St Johnstone left it goes as Robinson battles with Abada and just knocks it out of play. Celtic throw-in. Is there to be late drama here? Motherwell have equalised it for Park in the very, very late stages there. Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, Hibs 2, Livy 3, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0. Forward comes Celtic with Abada, right hand side. Ralston, the ever willing runner, just tries to nudge it on, but again Mitov will get to that. Ralston couldn't do anything meaningful with it. Mitov just hits the deck, dives in the ball, and we've got 90 seconds of added on time left to play. As more and more supporters drift away, Packy, they have not enjoyed what they've seen this afternoon.
No, all because Celtic haven't been able to put the ball in the goal, but also the intensity wasn't there from what we've come used to, and you know I can't say the big players have stepped up either. You know, they've put a lot of pressure on young Liam Scales because he had so much of the ball, but the movement ahead of him was very, very poor. There's a poor ball from Burnaby. Just
Phillips now picking up on that poor ball. Brown down the line he goes. Good play initially by Costello, but he's allowed the ball to cross the touchline. It'll be a Celtic throw-in. We've got 30 seconds of the 8 minutes that were added on remaining. Celtic need it up the other end. Here's Lagerbielke up to the halfway line. Can they find a way through this well organised St Johnstone back line? At the death here, it's Scales coming forward. Out to the left hand side for Bernabei. Is there a final opportunity here? 1-2 there between Forrest and Bernabei. Across the goal it comes. St Johnstone get it away. It's going to go behind for a final corner kick. Surely this is the last chance of the game for Celtic. Is there a big moment to come Again, there's a St Johnstone player down. Again, Matthew McDermott says, I'll add the time on, don't worry. It's Daniel Phillips who's down. He's been excellent as well at the heart of the St Johnstone midfield. Back to his feet he gets. Can St Johnstone hold on for the point, or can Celtic clinch it in the final seconds here? We've gone beyond the 8 minutes. There's going to be a yellow card here for, is it Stephen McLean who's going to, no, it's someone else in the, technically it's Liam Craig, who's not a stranger to a yellow card in his playing days, and he's continuing that during his coaching career. He won't mind that if St Johnstone can clear this corner kick, which is about to be taken left hand side by Haksabanovic. Into the 9th minute of added on time. Haksabanovic from the left hand side. Celtic looking for a late winner, and it comes. Mitov comes and collects a brilliant take from the goalkeeper. It typifies what he has done all afternoon. It typifies what his side have done all afternoon. St Johnstone have been outstanding defensively. Celtic just haven't been up to scratch as far as their high standards are concerned, and it would be difficult to argue that St Johnstone don't deserve to come away with this for a point.
No, and again a good take from the goalkeeper. There's it, full time.
It's all over. Boos ring out round Celtic Park as they drop 2 points against the bottom side St Johnstone. It has been a terrific defensive performance from Stephen McLean's side. No one would have given them hope coming into this game of taking anything from it, but they have worked ever so hard, and with a superb goalkeeping performance from Dimitar Mitov to keep Celtic out. Not to mention at the other end, Joe Hart pulled off a couple of terrific saves to ensure that Celtic didn't actually lose the game, but they didn't offer enough in attack, Celtic. And incredibly, having lost in the League Cup last weekend, they dropped 2 points at home to St Johnstone. This weekend it finishes at Celtic Park. Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0.